Titan IV was a dry, dark planet in the outer galaxy. It had no forests, no oceans, and no life. Just rocks, dust, and deep mines filled with rare minerals. These minerals were worth billions. That's why the Kuroth Empire took it by force. They sent warships, destroyed the human colony's defense towers, and enslaved every miner left alive. Now the humans worked day and night under heavy chains. The aliens used shock collars to punish them if they slowed down. There were no rest hours, no proper food, and no medicine. The Kuroth overlords treated the humans worse than machines. Among the miners was a young man named Jace Loran. He was only 22 but looked much older. His hands were scarred, his back bent from lifting heavy loads. He had not seen the sun in months. Jace had a secret, a tiny transmitter hidden in his boot. It was old and weak, but still functional. One night, while the guards were distracted with another prisoner, Jace turned it on and whispered into it. "To Earth Command. This is Jace Loran, Miner ID 4739, reporting from Titan IV. We are alive, but not free. The Kuroth are killing us. Slowly. Please, send help, even one ship, even one man." He clicked the button and shut it off before a guard walked by. The message was small, just a whisper in space. But it traveled far. On Earth, deep inside a quiet room in the human labor office, a woman received the signal. She stared at the screen. Her eyes widened. "Another one from Titan IV," she whispered. "Third this month." But this one was different. It had coordinates. It had names. She sent it up the chain of command, not to the military, but to someone else. 3 days later, in a hidden location under Mars soil, an old soldier was reading the message on a small screen. He wore a black jacket with a patch, Human Labor Union, Veteran Division. His name was Sergeant Mason Rigg. He had fought in 3 galactic wars. He had seen entire cities fall. After the wars ended, he didn't choose peace. He chose something more dangerous, fighting for forgotten humans, not with guns, but with laws, tactics, and the one weapon aliens never understood: human stubbornness. He closed the screen. "It's time," he said. On Titan IV, the alien foreman, a tall Kuroth named Grolath, stood on a platform overlooking the mine. His voice echoed across the camp. "You will work harder. Production is down. Anyone caught resting will be punished." Below, Jace kept his head low. His message had been sent days ago. Maybe no one heard it. Maybe he would die here like the others. Suddenly, a siren sounded. Transport ship was entering the sky above. The miners looked up. The guards aimed their rifles. "Who authorized a landing?" Grolath shouted. The ship was human-made. Small, boxy, worn. Not a warship, not a freighter. It landed slowly on the dirt. The engines hissed, then stopped. The ramp opened. One man stepped out. He was tall, wide-shouldered, maybe in his 50s. He had gray hair and calm eyes. He carried a metal briefcase in one hand and wore a jacket with a strange symbol. The guards aimed their weapons. "Stop right there," one shouted. The man didn't even blink. "I'm Sergeant Mason Rigg," he said, his voice deep and steady. "Union representative for human labor rights. I'm here to talk." Grolath laughed. "You came alone." "I only need one seat," Rigg replied. "I'm not here for war. I'm here for justice." The guards looked confused. The miners froze. Jace's mouth fell open. He came. Someone actually came. Rigg walked forward slowly. The guards didn't fire. They didn't know what to do. Grolath stepped down from the platform. His eyes narrowed. "You have no power here, human. This is Kuroth territory." Rigg smiled just a little. "We'll see." That night, news spread through the camp like fire. The human miners whispered in their bunkers. "He's a war vet. He once fought on Draco 7 alone for 5 days. They say he sued an entire alien empire and won." Jace sat near the fire, staring at the stars. Maybe they had a chance. Maybe. The chains on Titan IV were about to break, and the Kuroth. They had no idea what kind of war was coming. Not the kind fought with guns and ships, but with one man, one case, and a cause worth fighting for. The alien guards didn't know what to do. No one had ever landed on Titan IV without permission. Especially, not a human. Sergeant Mason Riggs stood tall in front of the Kuroth slavers. His boots were dusty, his jacket worn, but his eyes were sharp like a soldier ready for battle. He didn't carry a weapon. He didn't need one. In his hand was a small metal briefcase. Inside it, papers, agreements, and laws written in human and galactic code, but more than that. It carried the full weight of Earth's human labor union. Foreman Grolath stepped closer, his claws tapping on the ground. You have no authority here, human. This mine belongs to the Kuroth Empire. You are trespassing. Mason didn't flinch. He slowly opened his briefcase and pulled out a small, hollow device. A blue light blinked on, and a projection appeared above it, a document spinning in the air. This is Article 7 of the Galactic Labor Agreement, Mason said calmly. Signed by your empire 2 years ago. It forbids forced labor of intelligent species on neutral territory. This planet is not neutral, Grolath growled. Mason raised one eyebrow. It was settled by humans first. No formal war was declared. That makes your occupation illegal. The guards looked at each other confused. These words were too sharp, too technical. Not what they expected from a lone man. One of them whispered, "Is he a lawyer or a warrior?" "Both," the other replied. Down in the mines, Jace Loran and the other human workers heard the voices. Some moved closer to listen. "Is that the Earth guy?" Jace whispered. "He's arguing with Grolath," another said. "Not begging, arguing. That's suicide." But Jace smiled. "No, that's hope." Grolath stepped forward, towering. "Over Mason. You dare come to my planet, speak your little laws, and think that will save these humans?" Mason didn't back down. "I've stood in the mud of Drazen 5 face to face with warlords who said the same thing. They didn't scare me either." Then Mason pointed to the sky. "You see, I didn't come alone. That signal from your scanners, it wasn't just me. I sent evidence of your violations back to Earth. Right now, human officials are reviewing it. Soon, the Galactic Labor Tribunal will hear this case." Grolath's smile faded. "If they rule against you," Mason said, "you lose your claim on this planet. You lose trade access. Your empire gets sanctions. Your name, marked forever." For the first time, Grolath didn't answer. He turned and walked back toward his command tower. His guards followed, nervous. Mason stayed where he was, calm, waiting. Jace and a few miners came closer, unsure if they were allowed. "You're really him?" Jace asked. "The one we sent the message to?" Mason looked at the young man and nodded. "I heard it, Earth heard it." Jace looked down. "They've been killing us slowly, like we don't matter." Mason put a hand on his shoulder. "You matter now." Later that night, the alien base was quiet, but tension was rising. Grolath held a meeting with his senior guards. "We must break him," one said. "Make the humans work harder. Show this Union man that laws mean nothing here." But Grolath was not so sure. He's not just a man, he's a message. What kind of message? That humans do not forget, and they do not forgive. Back in the human camp, Mason met with the miners. He wrote down their names, their injuries, their stories. "Every cut on your hands is evidence," he told them. "Every missing worker is a charge. They think this is a small fight, but they don't understand humans." "What do you mean?" Jace asked. Mason looked around. The fire and smiled. "When we fight for freedom, we don't stop. Not until the chains are broken and the ones who put them on us regret it forever." The next morning, the skies over Titan IV turned gray. A storm was coming, but not the kind the Kuroth expected. Sergeant Mason Riggs stood on the platform outside the alien command post. In one hand, he held a holopad. In the other, a small audio device. Around him, human miners watched from the shadows. Quiet, curious, hopeful. Grolath stepped out of the tower, followed by his armed guards. "You're still here, human," he hissed. "We gave you a chance to leave." Mason didn't move. "And I gave you a warning yesterday, but you didn't listen." He pressed the audio device. A voice played. Calm, firm, and official. This is High Representative Julia Hahn of the Earth Labor Union. We have received Sergeant Riggs' full report and evidence. A galactic tribunal will be formed in 72 hours. Until then, any harm done to human workers will be considered an act of war. Grolath's eyes narrowed. You think we fear your words? Mason finally looked him straight in the eye. No, but you will fear what comes after them. That same day, the Kuroth guards increased pressure on the miners. Work shifts doubled, food was cut in half. Anyone who spoke with Mason was pushed harder. They thought this would break the humans, but instead, something strange began to happen. The miners began to whisper to each other again. Secret messages passed in dirty hands. Small signs of rebellion. Turned. One miner refused to work. Another hid tools. Another shorted a power line. Little things. But together they were like sparks in dry grass. And Mason was the match. In the night, Grolath held a meeting with his war captain, Skren. This human must be removed, Grolath growled, before he brings more trouble. He's alone, Skren said. Why not crush him in the dark? But Grolath shook his head. No, we kill him now, and Earth has proof of violence. They'll come with warships. Skren growled low. So, what then? We humiliate him, Grolath said. Break his spirit, prove to the humans he is weak. Then they will lose hope. The next morning, the guards dragged Mason into the mining pit. Miners stopped working. Shocked. A platform had been set up. Mason was forced to stand on it. Around him, Kuroth soldiers held long metal rods. This human speaks of laws, Grolath announced to the miners. He says he will save you, so we give him a chance. He threw a large data pad at Mason's feet. Explain your laws. Convince us. If you fail, you get punished. The guards laughed. Mason looked at the crowd of tired, beaten miners. Then, he picked up the data pad and smiled. For the next 10 minutes, Mason spoke, but not with fear. He explained the rights of every sentient worker. He quoted alien treaties, human contracts, and union codes. His voice was strong, steady, and filled with fire. Some miners began to raise their heads. Others clenched their fists. Even the guards stopped smiling, because Mason didn't sound like a victim. He sounded like a leader. When he finished, Grolath stepped forward. Pretty words, he said coldly, but we make the rules here. He nodded to a guard who lifted his rod. The rod came down, but a miner suddenly shouted, "Stop!" Everyone froze. It was Jace. He stepped forward, breathing hard. You touch him, and I stop working. So do others. Another miner stood. Me too. Then another and another. Soon, dozens of human workers were standing in silence, not moving, not afraid. Grolath's face twisted with rage. He pointed at Mason. This is your fault. But Mason only smiled calmly. No. This is their power. You should have feared it sooner. That night, Grolath sent a secret message to the Kuroth Empire. Request emergency support. A human labor leader has turned the workers. They are beginning to resist. We may be losing control. But far above Titan IV, something even more dangerous had already begun. A single Earth Union starship appeared from hyperspace, cloaked and watching. The war wasn't coming with guns. It was coming with justice, and justice carried a human face. The next morning on Titan IV, something had changed in the air. The workers walked differently. They didn't run when the guards shouted. They didn't lower their eyes. Sergeant Mason Rigg watched quietly from the edge of the mining field. His body was sore from the last punishment, but his mind was sharp. He had seen what happened yesterday, the moment the miners stood up together. That was the beginning. Grolath, the alien overseer, had seen it too. And it scared him. In his control tower, Grolath smashed a control screen. Why didn't they break? He growled. Why didn't they fear the pain? Skren, the war captain, watched from the corner. They didn't stand for the human. They stood for each other. That's even worse, Grolath hissed. Later that day, the miners were lined up and ordered to work a deep shaft with unstable walls. It was known as the Dead Tunnel, a place where too many had died already. The guards laughed, expecting fear. But the humans didn't panic. They worked slowly, carefully. When the wall cracked, they stopped, even if it angered the guards. When a guard raised a rod to strike a miner, Jace stepped forward again. "If you hit him, I stop. We all stop." The guard looked around. 100 humans had stopped moving, silent, calm. The guard backed away and the wall stayed standing. In the sleeping quarters, Mason sat with a small group of miners. Jace, Mira, an older man named Harris, and a few others. "We can't fight them with weapons," Mira said. "They have the tech, the guns, the airlocks. We won't fight them like soldiers," Mason said. "We'll fight like workers. We slow down the mine, break the machines, stop the minerals from flowing." Harris looked nervous. "What if they start killing?" "They already are," Mason replied quietly. "But this time the galaxy will see it." He opened a small transmitter hidden in his coat. "This is broadcasting now. Every word we say, every threat they make, Earth is listening." Back on Earth, in a quiet office deep underground, Representative Julia Hahn leaned forward as Mason's voice came through the speaker. Her assistant looked shocked. "They're building a rebellion. With no weapons?" "No," Julia said, softly. "They're using the oldest weapon humans ever had, unity." She turned to a general beside her. "Send in the backup teams. No weapons. Just Union reps, former Marines. Drop them quiet." Meanwhile, on Titan IV, strange things began to happen. Machines started to fail. Wires were cut at night. Power tools overheated. Guards slipped on spilled chemicals. The Kuroth tried to punish the workers, but every time they hurt one, the others worked even slower. The mine's output dropped by 60% in just 2 days. And now, even the guards began to feel fear. One night, Grolith entered the sleeping hall. He brought 5 soldiers. They aimed their weapons at the workers. "You think Earth will save you?" Grolith shouted. "You are nothing. You are tools." Mason stepped forward. His voice was calm. "Then why are you so afraid of broken tools?" The soldiers tensed, but the workers didn't move. Grolith raised his claw, and then the lights shut. Off to total darkness. A voice echoed through the halls, strong and clear. "This is Earth Union. We are here. We are watching." The lights came back on. The soldiers looked around in confusion. There was no ship in the sky, no army, just the message. But it was enough. In the control tower, Skren turned to Grolith. "They've won without firing a shot." "No," Grolith growled. "We still control the food, the air, we'll starve them." But even as he said it, a small screen flashed behind him. "Union dropship incoming. Estimated arrival, 6 hours." Grolith's hands trembled. Back in the mines, Mason gathered the workers. "We hold out 6 more hours," he said. "We show them who we are." Jace grinned. "They wanted to break us, but we were already forged in fire." That night, under the stars of Titan IV, the humans prepared not for war, but for a final stand of unity, and far above, the real storm was arriving. The skies above Titan IV remained dark, but deep inside the planet something powerful was building. Hope. The humans had no weapons, no armor, no warships. But they had something the aliens didn't understand: discipline, courage, and unity. Inside the sleeping hall, Sergeant Mason Riggs stood in front of hundreds of tired, dirty miners. 6 hours, he said, voice steady. "That's all we need to survive. Help is coming." Jace stepped up beside him. "But the Kuroth are angry. They'll strike hard." Mason nodded. "Let them. We won't break." A quiet cheer rose through the crowd, not loud, but strong. "The control tower," Grolith roared in frustration. "They refuse to obey." "They're preparing something," Captain Skren warned. "And there's still no sign of ships in orbit, but what?" "We're picking up strange signals. Hidden frequencies, scrambled messages." Grolith slammed his fist on the table. "Shut down the mines. Gather all humans in the pit. We end this now." 1 hour later, guards forced all miners into the central pit. Huge floodlights lit the area. Drones hovered overhead. Kuroth soldiers aimed stun rifles at every human. Mason walked calmly, eyes scanning everything. He whispered to Mira beside him. "They're scared." She nodded. They don't understand why we aren't afraid. From a tall platform, Grolath stepped forward. You had your chance. You refused mercy. Now you'll see what defiance brings, he signaled. A machine buzzed to life. It controlled the oxygen pumps. The aliens planned to cut off the air slowly. Panic spread through the miners, but Mason raised his hand. Hold. People froze. He looked up at Grolath. Try it, Mason said loudly. The galaxy is watching. Earth is watching. Every life you take now will echo across systems. You're bluffing, Grolath growled. Suddenly a loud screeching noise echoed in the sky. Everyone looked up. A streak of silver flashed across the atmosphere, then another, and another. Dropships. 3 sleek Black Earth Union dropships broke through the clouds, engines glowing red. They didn't land, they hovered silently high above, sending out a clear signal. Stand down. You are violating Terran labor code. Panic hit the Kuroth lines. Skren shouted. We have no authority to engage Earth forces, Grolath hissed. Then crush the humans before they land. He pointed at Mason. Kill the leader. A soldier. Raised his weapon. But before he could fire, a loud whistle rang out. A single human, Mira, walked forward holding a bright red flare. Now. From every corner of the pit, miners moved together. They didn't attack. They didn't scream. They locked arms, forming rows, a human wall with Mason at the front. The aliens hesitated. They had weapons, but they couldn't shoot all of them. One mistake and the whole galaxy would see the truth. The drones recording above fed images back to Earth and to thousands of networks across nearby systems. On the dropship bridge, Union. Officer Commander Hale watched the screen. They stood together, he whispered. Just like Mason planned, he turned to his team. Activate visual warning. A massive hologram appeared in the sky above Titan 4. Earth Union official presence. Release all human workers immediately, or face trade sanctions and military intervention. Grolath stared at the message. He knew what it meant. No minerals. No weapons, no ships from Earth, and soon, no power. He turned to Skren. Retreat, all units. Let them go. Back in the pit, the guards slowly lowered their weapons. Some even dropped them. One by one, they stepped back. Mason let out a breath. We didn't fight with guns, he said softly, but we fought. As the humans were released from the pit, the Union dropships finally landed. Officers came out handing food, water, and medical supplies. A young girl hugged Mason, tears in her eyes. Did we win? She asked. He smiled. We started to. That night, fires burned in celebration. Miners sang old songs of Earth, some danced. Others simply sat quietly, feeling free for the first time in years. But Mason sat alone, looking up at the stars. Jace walked over. What's next? Mason's eyes didn't leave the sky. Next, we show the galaxy what humans do when pushed. Too far, we don't just survive, we rebuild. Titan 4 had changed. Where once there was fear, now there was hope. The miners had stood together. The Earth Union had arrived. The alien overlords, the Kuroth, had backed down. But Grolath, the Kuroth commander, wasn't finished. He watched from his retreating command ship, his red eyes burning with rage. We lost Titan 4, Skren said. Quietly. No, Grolath growled. We gave it up for now. He slammed his fist against the console. They made us look weak. They made the Kuroth name into a joke. We will strike back. One final move. Skren looked nervous. You mean the ghost bomb? Grolath nodded. Yes, we'll leave nothing behind. No miners, no planet, just silence. Back on Titan 4, Sergeant Mason Rigg felt the calm was too quiet. He stood on a ridge watching Earth engineers begin setting up shelters and communication towers for the freed workers. Beside him, Mira pointed to the horizon. Something's coming. He raised his binoculars. A dot in the sky, too fast for a dropship. He called it in. This is Rigg to command. I see incoming. High velocity. No Earth ID. The reply came fast. Confirmed. One object entering atmosphere. No signal. Not ours. Mason's eyes narrowed. That's not a ship. In orbit, Earth Union sensors detected the truth. The Kuroth had launched a planet-buster weapon. It was called the Ghost Bomb, a device that didn't explode in fire. It released a silent wave that erased all life, without damaging buildings or machines. Cold, clean. Evil Earth Union Command sent a warning. Titan 4, evacuate immediately. Repeat, evacuate. Impact in 12 minutes. Panic hit the camp. Families screamed. Children cried. Some miners froze, but not Mason. He grabbed the loudspeaker. "Listen to me," his voice echoed across the valley. "You stood strong when we had nothing. Now we fight for time. Everyone to the dropships, no running, no pushing, just move." People started running, not with fear, but with purpose. Miners helped each other. Parents carried children. Earth soldiers guided the crowd into dropships. But Mason didn't move. He ran toward the old control tower, the only place with strong enough signals to send a last emergency command to the orbiting defense grid. Mira chased him. "What are you doing?" "Buying us 60 seconds, Mason said, eyes locked forward. Inside the tower, systems were barely alive. Dust on the screens, old wires, but Mason had been a soldier, a combat engineer. He worked fast, he hacked into the system, started a counter signal. It worked. The Union ships above could lock on and shoot down the bomb mid-air. If not, the whole colony would vanish. "Come on," he muttered. "Come on." Up in space, the Union's AI picked up the new signal. Target lock confirmed. Ghost bomb in range. "Permission to fire?" Commander Hale didn't hesitate. "Fire." 3. Sleek interceptor missiles launched from orbit. They raced toward the falling object. Seconds ticked. Mira held Mason's arm. "Is this it?" He didn't answer. 7, 6. Above the sky, a bright light exploded. Boom! The ghost bomb was hit, shattered into dust, too high to do damage. The people on Titan 4 looked up. They saw the light fade. Then, silence. Then, cheers. They had survived. Again. Later that night, Mason stood before the miners, his voice steady. The Kuroth made their last move, and we stopped it. Someone shouted, "Will they come back?" He looked at the crowd. "If they do, we'll be ready. But I don't think they will. They don't fear weapons. They fear something else." "What?" Mira asked. He smiled. "Humans who stand together." Titan 4 was safe, for now. The ghost bomb had been destroyed in the sky, but the message was clear. The Kuroth had tried to wipe out the miners even after surrender, even after negotiations. There was no doubt now. They didn't fear peace. They feared what humans could become when they stood united. Sergeant Mason Riggs stood before the camera. A Union soldier handed him a device. "You're live across all known channels, sir. Earth Command approved it. Say what needs to be said." Mason looked into the lens. His voice was calm, but carried power. "To the galaxy watching, this is Sergeant Mason Rigg of Earth. The Kuroth tried to erase our people on Titan 4. They failed. We don't want war. We never did. But if you enslave us, if you beat our children, if you bomb our homes, we will not bow. We will rise. We will fight back. And we will win. The miners are free. Titan 4 stands. And to anyone else, thinking humans are weak, come and see what happens when you cross a worker with a warrior. We don't break, we unionize." He ended the message with a small smile and cut the feed. Across the galaxy, people watched in silence. On distant planets, news screens blinked with one headline: "Earth speaks, no more chains." In deep space, smugglers, traders, and soldiers passed the video like a warning. Alien warlords paused. Old enemies of Earth reconsidered. Even neutral races, the ones who never cared, now watched humans with new respect. Back on Titan 4, the camp was buzzing. Ships from Earth brought food, medicine, engineers, and real protection. Mira walked beside Mason as supply drones flew overhead. "They heard you," she said. He nodded. "Good, now they know where we stand." She smiled. "So what happens next?" Mason looked toward the stars. "Now, Earth answers with more than words. He wasn't wrong. High above, in Earth orbit, the first new Union battle cruiser entered warp space, its name glowing across the hull. Liberty Forge. It was the start of something bigger. Not an empire. Not a war. A movement. One that said, humans. Don't run. They rebuild. And they rise. Together. The stars burned cold and silent as the Liberty Forge slipped into Titan IV's orbit. Earth's newest battle cruiser was ready, not just for defense, but for revenge. Inside, Sergeant Mason Riggs stood before a team of human soldiers and engineers. His voice was steady, but fierce. We came here to free our people. We came here to end the Kuroth's cruelty. And today, we make sure no one forgets what happens when you enslave a human. On the ground, the Kuroth overlords watched from their towers, unaware. Their soldiers were tired from months of skirmishes with the miners' new guards, but they still held the upper hand in weapons and numbers. Then, the sky exploded. The Liberty Forge's cannons lit the darkness, firing bright bursts of energy. Alien towers and weapons melted away. The Kuroth scrambled, but Earth's forces were fast and organized. Mason led a squad of human marines down from the battlecruiser in armored dropships. They landed amidst the ruins of a mining camp, now a battlefield. Move, Mason shouted. His team pushed forward, clearing alien patrols with precision. Miners watching from hiding cheered quietly. The Union rep was not just a symbol anymore. He was their leader in battle. The Kuroth commander finally appeared, a tall, fierce alien with scars across his face. He laughed at Mason. You think your small army can defeat us? Mason smiled. No, I think everyone who stands with us can. The miners and Earth soldiers fought side by side. The battle was fierce, but the miners' knowledge of the tunnels and caves turned the tide. One by one, the Kuroth defenses fell. Finally, Mason and the commander faced off on the highest tower. Steel clashed with claws, but Mason's training, skill, and sheer willpower won. He captured the alien commander. The Kuroth Empire began to crumble. Their fleets fled or surrendered. Titan IV was free. Mason stood before the miners and soldiers gathered in the main camp. He raised his fist. This is just the beginning. No more chains. No more slavery. We fight for every miner, every worker. On Titan IV and beyond, we stand strong. Together. The crowd roared. The miners had their freedom, and the galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new force, the union of humans and miners, led by a battle-hardened warrior who refused to back down.